What is up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Beers and. Today, we're going to be talking about beers and Roman mythology.
Huh. I like that. That's a nice little. That's a mythological sound. No.
Huh. Yeah.
I am Roman god. Huh.
It's not a very fantastical sound, though.
No, it's not.
Which is, I feel like, what I should have been striving for.
I mean,
But I don't know how to do that.
Mythology is just that. It's all made up to begin with, so it really doesn't matter.
That is fair, but wait until you hear what I have to say later. Welcome in, everyone, and what the is up? Nick and Alex here. Welcome back to another episode of Beers and.
Hello.
We are having, actually kind of funny, who the put carrot in the cake from Abomination Brewing today. It's actually a collaboration between Abomination, Skygazer, and Branch and Blade.
Oh.
So all the guys at 12% Brewing.
We've never had a
Branch and Blade.
Branch and Blade.
I don't think so. We might have had one, but it may have only been just one.
The only reason why I'm speculating that we haven't is because I could definitely imagine slurring that name multiple
Branch and
times
Blade.
getting very difficult as the episode would go on.
Yeah, not on a cocktail episode. We can't have that.
No. Or challenge.
Do it and see if we can pronounce it.
See if we can pronounce it.
That's challenge accepted.
Here's what we can say, though, and we can pronounce properly. Follow us over on all of our social medias. We're on Instagram at Beers and Podcast. Same over on TikTok, as well as on our YouTube page. You can see our lovely faces. You can tweet at us at Beers and One. And for any questions, concerns, comments, queries, Beers and
like that
Podcast
word.
at gmail.com.
Nice word.
Queries?
Yes.
What's the difference between a query and an inquiry?
There isn't.
I was going to say.
There
I
isn't.
don't know.
We have some brew news today, sir.
Oh,
Just
hit
some
me.
quick- just
and I'm
some quick
upset
brew
because
news.
I totally have brew news as well, and I don't remember what it is.
Save her for next time. That's fine.
Deal.
So just really quick, and we've talked about mezcal recently,
Yeah.
and I find it's funny that like we talk about it and then it becomes popular.
Ooh.
It's like mezcal is on the rise, and
I wish we could do the same with some of our viewers and their interaction.
agree. Maybe at a later date.
Looking at you.
But mezcal is on the rise. So, it's becoming popular more in mixed drinks, and there's speculation that now like mezcal ready to drink cocktails are going to be the next step. And somebody already released one. They're called Madre Mezcal is the brand.
Yeah.
And they've already released their they're in the can. It's 5% ABV. It's called Desert Water.
Ooh.
And it comes in 4 flavors. I love that. And excuse me. So if you guys are familiar, Keystone,
Yes.
not the company, but Keystone the beer, and Stone out in California.
Yeah.
Okay, so recently Stone, and if you guys aren't familiar with Stone, familiarize yourselves. There was actually one of the first craft beers that I had when I turned 21.
Yeah.
Really cool can art. They have like gargoyles on each of the cans. They have or bottles. They have like a side story, usually kind of like embellished.
Yeah,
Lots of
yeah.
fancy words. Yeah, really cool. Really great IPAs. So they sued Keystone.
What?
Because back in 2011, I think it was, when Key and Stone were separated.
Yeah.
Or 2017, I'm sorry. This is when the case first came up. They like wanted them to take it away and make Keystone a one word again. Because people, I guess, were confusing Stone
Oh,
and
shut
Keystone.
up.
Yes. So they won.
Really?
They won. Yeah, back in March, they won $56 million. And then on like trademark infringement. And then on the heels of that, now they're filing for them to never be able to do that ever again.
Really? Huh.
To keep, I guess, their brand intact.
So is it because the fact is that it was Key and Stone, and that's why?
I feel like I kind of remember when it happened, and it happened right when we turned 21, I think.
So
or
it
like
was
shortly after, and the Keystone was separated on the can instead of Keystone as one word.
Oh, I think I do vaguely remember that.
I know, it's kind of petty.
I mean, yes and no. I understand from the business perspective, but at the same time, Stone, you ain't making Keystone. All right, baby.
Yeah,
you
for
gotta
real.
trust us. If anybody is out there going, oh, this Keystone, those are from the folks that make all those other really nice IPAs, correct?
Yeah, and it's not even like the same art.
No.
Like it's very clearly two different beers.
Yeah, like nobody's.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, Mr. Nat. I got very upset for a
missed him.
second. I was
He
gonna
flew by me too.
start to badmouth Keystone. I was gonna say, you're not finding Stone Brewery cans like crushed up in a parking lot of a Wawa. Like that's a Keystone.
Yes,
like no one's
that is a
going. Yeah, no one's gonna make the mistake.
That might be the worst, hands down, light beer.
I
I haven't had Busch though.
Oh, I was gonna say. Then don't forget, there's also Milwaukee.
Yeah, I haven't had Milwaukee's
There's
best.
Bulldog. There's Genovese.
That I've had.
I do actually like a good
That
cream
I've
beer.
had. It's not terrible.
It's not the worst.
It's not terrible. All right, let's get back to our beer.
All right.
And also, we're going to do question of the day. Nick, in terms of renewable energy, what do you think is like the absolute future?
Hydrogen.
Hydrogen. I love that.
Love hydrogen, and it's not just because of the fact is that I've got and it's not just because of the
Party
fact is
foul.
that I've got quite I mean, not like anybody's portfolio is doing very well at the moment, but I bought in very, very early to a hydrogen company that's done me very well. And I do believe in it. It does seem like it is the cleanest
That actually
sort of
is true.
energy that does exist. Although, as a cynic of sorts, I'll be honest with you, Alex, I'll take anything at this point.
Right?
I mean...
It's falling out of here. Yeah, I agree with you. So the thing that actually spurred this question for you was I saw like a mini clip of an Elon Musk interview, and it looks old, honestly.
Yeah, you can always tell by his hair.
Okay, so yeah, it was old then.
Okay.
Good call.
Yeah.
So the interviewer was asking him about solar energy.
Yeah.
Which I have not a lot of stock in physically, but like in my mind,
You do.
I have a lot of stock in solar energy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I
Oh,
do.
absolutely.
How'd I do?
I think you did very well, actually.
Not terrible.
No, yeah.
So his quote was that you could power the entire United States with about 200 square kilometers of solar panels.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds insane. Not that we have that readily available for us, here per se.
I mean, we kind of do.
We do. Somewhere we can put 200 square kilometers of solar panels.
And this isn't like a me trying to like make a joke, but have you, or when was the last time, or how far west have you actually like driven, let's say?
Not
And, like,
not that far.
having been to certain parts of
Great Plains?
the heartland and the Great Plains and whatnot, dude, there are humongous swaths of land.
You know what?
And
Now that
that's-
you're talking about it, I can recall flying.
Oh,
and
yeah.
seeing
Oh, yeah. And
just
it's one of
the-
those things, too, where it's not like it's a matter of like, oh, we're using the land to simply develop it. Like here in, the Northeast, where it's like any little parcel of land, we've got to go ahead and
like we were just talking about.
exactly gobble it up. But out there, you've also got an entire group of folks that need like jobs. Hey, you can't be a farmer.
Solar energy
Yeah, you can be a solar
plantation.
farmer. Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
It's not a terrible job,
you
I
would
feel.
no, you would go ahead, you collect all that energy, and you get then you would get like residuals then from the government because you'd be selling it to the public
Yeah.
power grid.
Right?
Hello, hi.
Sometimes all you need to do is just sit down, have a beer, and talk it out.
Well, my favorite thing, and you are correct. You're 100% correct.
Yeah.
Anytime I've ever gotten to this, like, I don't want to say argument because I've never actually gotten into like a full-on argument with anybody about this subject. But there's this argument. Oh, well, if it was wind or solar, it would take this and that and this more energy. Blah 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 blah. And I'm going, wait a second. You truly expect me to believe that we have not made any sort of progress on the combustible
There's
engine?
no way.
Like, I'm sorry, when this came about, we barely had like radio. And now now you're listening to us and watching us through the magic of fiber optics and satellites. And you expect me to believe that we still have to just take,
Say no more to me.
dinosaur juice and to get our cars to go?
Dinosaur juice.
You know where you, sir, can go? Right off. In the fuck. Fuck right off. That was terrible, Nick. That's a cut it.
Just take
Cut it.
take a long walk off a short beer.
You know which one I like though also?
What?
I like geothermal. Just because
Geothermal.
it sounds like Journey to
It
the
sounds
Center of
cool.
the Earth.
It sounds
Yeah.
cool. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about this beer enough yet.
We haven't tried it either.
We haven't. So we told everyone where it was brewed.
Yes.
12%. It smells amazing, right?
Yeah, it
Well,
smells
let's
like
take a
it's
smell.
I feel like I'm smelling some of that almost like cheesecake, cheesecake, that like cream cheese kind of like icing that comes along with it.
So this is a fruited pastry sour brewed with carrot, apricot, cinnamon, granola, cream cheese, and milk sugar.
Oh, nice. I'm pretty proud of myself
spot
on that one.
You got the cream cheese.
And
I can smell the apricot.
The apricot comes through too, which is kind of nice.
And I can smell the carrot too.
I fucking love carrot cake.
Me too.
Also, love carrot cake.
Unpopular opinion.
Oh,
but yeah,
I know.
I love carrot
I didn't think so until like more and more people were like, "Oh, you're gross."
Yeah, you're gross.
You're gross.
Okay? Oh boy, that is tasty.
Wow.
That's a tasty one.
Wow.
That genuinely tastes like carrot caramel.
Yeah.
I've never had that. I don't know if that's a real thing, but that's what it tastes like.
You know what? And I don't know if I've had. I'm sure that I have, but I wouldn't remember it. It's almost got like the tanginess of what I assume.
It's very tangy. It's gotta be the cream cheese and the apricot, right?
Yeah, but almost like what I assume, like pureed carrots for like baby food would almost smell or taste like. I don't know why that for some. I don't know.
A big carrot overtone.
Yes,
there is,
and I'm really impressed. Watch yourself out there.
Seriously,
watch yourself.
We always have
there.
interruptions when we're
so many. It's the middle of the day. Don't you people work?
That's probably what they're doing.
Did I tell you? Not the sidebar. About a week ago, I went and I got breakfast with my father. I had gone to go pick him up, and we went to go and eat. Tuesday, I think it was a Tuesday, roughly 10 o'clock in the morning. So we're sitting there, and he goes to me. He goes, "You know, how great is this? I'm retired. I'm having breakfast with my son. I'm gonna go have lunch with the guys. Like, this is great. Who else gets to do this now that I'm retired? This is great." And I looked at him and I go, "Dad, you do realize that I'm here too right now, correct?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, you're right." And I was like, "I'm not trying to like rain on your parade. Just pointing it out, like, hey, I'm a working man too. I just happen to take a Tuesday to go get breakfast."
He should be happy he's retired.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The man is over the moon. And rightfully deserved.
I would be too.
It's interesting because I feel like the flavor on this, on the initial sip, I almost didn't get anything. And then after the swallow, a second goes by, that's when everything kind of comes flying in.
This is a very interesting beer. I agree with you. It doesn't entirely taste like carrot cake, but I am not mad because I think what it does taste like is better.
I think it's got like a deconstructed element to it.
Kind of. I'm not getting as much cinnamon as I would like. It's there.
Well, here's my question for you. Your carrot cake, with or without the raisin?
I don't know if I've ever actually had it with raisins.
Okay, because I'm getting a strong, and I think it's coming from like the apricot, almost like a dried apricot.
Yeah, I like it.
I'm getting that because I love carrot cake when it's got raisin in it. And that's what I think I'm picking up on and why it's hitting really close to a nice piece of carrot cake.
Man, it's tasty. I know that.
It's a really interesting one. This one is
I can't get over the carrot.
I'm very impressed. Very impressed.
It's 7%.
Not bad.
So, I mean, it's not, I wouldn't say it tastes boozy.
No, not particularly.
I don't think this is a one-off either. I feel like I could have a couple of these.
I don't know, to be perfectly honest with you.
He's on the fence.
I am on the fence.
He's on the fence.
I'm on the fence.
On the bubble, as they say.
Yeah, I'm right. I'm
I'm
here. I'm there. Didn't get the reference. We'll go with it. Here, teeter-totter.
Did you get the reference? I don't think so.
No, I didn't. No, not at all. Didn't get the reference. Not following in the slightest. Maybe I would have a second. It's weird because it's one of those, if you think about it too much, the answer is no. But then when I have the sip of it, I'm like, oh yeah, I would have another one.
It's so juicy.
Oh, it is.
Like, it's a very juicy beer, which doesn't happen all the time.
It's an interesting sour at that. It's not a puckery sour.
Kind of, but not as much as like a mango one would be.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm a fan.
I am too. What are you going to throw on it, you think?
Ooh, 4.45.
Yeah? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
My gut was telling me like a 4.25. It is a very, very... It's a creative beer.
Yeah,
it's not... It's not totally
So weird.
off-putting because, again, this is one of those. I feel like you could fuck it up real easily if
definitely.
you're not careful.
Definitely. Putting
And-
cream cheese in beer and balancing it out.
I think a lesser brewery, meaning all three of them, they did a good job, but a lesser
Yeah.
brewery would not, I think, be able to get this as spot on as
We
it
like
is.
Skygazer. We
Yeah.
like Abomination. I feel like we might have had a Branch and Blade, but now I'm not sure. We're
A
gonna
branch-
have to go back check tapes.
A branch and bread?
A Branch and Blade.
Branch and bread?
Not as easy to say.
Oh, good branch and bread.
Try that after a couple. God damn it, Nick, the Romans.
The Romans. Rah, rah, Romama, Roman mythology.
Did you come up with this?
No. And in fact, actually, and I know she's a frequent listener. I don't know why, but our friend Carrie, years ago, I think, went to go like see a friend that was in Rome, and I just remembered the album that she had named it was Roma, Romama, and I was like, that's genius.
So smart.
Yeah.
Good job. Carrie L. I don't know. We're saying last names.
Yeah, she knows who she is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
She does. Yeah.
Yeah, she knows
We
who
want
she is.
other people to know who she is. We don't know. Nick, let's talk about reasons why Rome fell.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we know that Rome was a great empire.
Yes, we do.
Right? People talk about it all the time. Oh, Rome wasn't built in a day.
Oh, God, no.
Right?
Yeah. And let me tell you, Nick and I were just having this conversation that Italians still think about La Gloria. The glory that
days
is
of
that.
Rome.
Yeah, and it's like, folks,
It's been quite some
it's
time.
been quite some time and things haven't gone very well since for you.
No. So I will admit that originally this was going to be a conspiracy theory on, in my own mind, Rome falling and how it juxtaposes with the switch from polytheism to monotheism.
Oh.
Switches from how they switch from, like, you know, the polytheistic Roman gods
Yeah.
to Christianity.
Right.
But I didn't find enough information to conclude this hypothesis. So
Let me tell you,
this is
that would have
what it
been a
turned
real
into.
fucking controversial episode
right.
then.
So this is what it turned into.
Which I like, by the way. I'm not saying we
I
shouldn't
know.
do without it, but
So let's really quickly just talk about the rise of Rome. As we all know, like I said, Rome was a great empire. At its peak, stretched from the Atlantic Ocean all the way Middle East to the Euphrates.
right. And wasn't it as far north as I believe Britain?
And it dipped down into the upper part of Africa.
Wow.
We have a picture, actually. I sent Nick a picture. We're going to throw it up for you
Oh,
guys.
there it is.
Right around here.
Right in this general vicinity.
So all this information is from history.com.
Sorry. History.com.
As legend has it, Romulus and Remus, the twin sons of Mars, the god of war, founded the city of Rome in 753 BC. So they were left to drown in the Tiber River
Yeah.
by a nearby king from Alba Longa.
Okay.
The twins were rescued by a she-wolf.
Abylonia.
Abalonia?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. The twins were rescued by a she-wolf.
Naturally.
They lived long enough to defeat the king who threw them into the river,
Classic.
and then they founded the city of Rome on the banks of the river. This is from history.com, ladies and gents. It sounds like I'm making it up, but it's true, I guess. So after killing his brother, Romulus became the first king of Rome, named after him. And following this was a line of, I've never seen this word, Sabine or
Oh, yeah, the
Sabine?
Sabines. Yeah.
Okay, Sabine, Latin, and Etruscan kings, so all like earlier, I guess, civilizations of Italy. But surprisingly, they weren't. It wasn't hereditary. Like these kings were appointed by people; they weren't given to a successor.
Oh, really?
Interestingly enough,
Huh. I didn't know that at all.
and then yada yada yada, great Roman Empire, right?
You can't just yada, yada, yada the Roman Empire.
I did.
I know. I love it. It was done
We're gonna
very
stick
well,
with it.
too.
Thank you. So why Rome fell? There isn't a singular reason why Rome might have fallen, but more like a multitude of factors that all accumulate into the great downfall. So Rome had economic troubles and too much reliance on slave labor. Mm-hmm. So even as Rome was under attack from outside the walls, it was in turmoil, like crumbling from within, because they had severe financial crisis.
Oh,
Not only that,
that doesn't sound too familiar.
right, I know, right? But wait, there's more.
Oh, good.
Wars and overspending lightened imperial reserves, while taxation and inflation widened the gap between the rich and the poor.
History.com, folks.
So on top, I know.
Wow, this episode really is taken. I'm so glad that
We're not even that far in.
I know. I'm so glad we picked such a pleasant beer because carrot cake really does make everything just a little bit better.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Sorry. Please continue.
No, it's okay. So Rome depended, like I said, a lot on slave labor to till the fields, use them for craftsmen, and as a fresh influx for their military force. So when they would take over other territories, they would use those people to like fuel these parts of their civilization.
Right.
In the 2nd century, however, when they stopped expanding, all of this influx came to a halt. So they couldn't fuel it anymore. So this kind of caused, like an internal crumbling. With this in mind, one of Rome's major issues was its size. With such a vast territory to govern, the Romans faced an administrative and logistical nightmare, 100%. Because think about it, that stretch of land.
Yeah.
And this is where it comes in. How are you going to get a message, even though they had a great road system, how are you going to get a message from the Atlantic Ocean all the way to the Euphrates River
in a timely enough
to manage your resources or to like let people know of an impending attack?
I mean, it's kind of interesting because it implies, and I guess it's one of those things that's kind of obvious if you think about it, but maybe in the moment it seems interesting. Like, so imperialism is finite. There's only so much one can expand before it's like, well, now what do we do? I don't know.
What do you do when you control everything?
Exactly.
Right.
Huh.
And they didn't have the easiest position to take over.
No.
But think about everyone who's around them. You got Great Britain to the north.
Right.
Everyone to the Middle East, all that stuff. So by the second, I'm sorry. Excuse me. So they didn't have enough control of troops and resources to defend like oncoming attacks. So by the 2nd century, Emperor Hadrian was forced to build his famous wall in Britain. And this caused even more of their resources to be drained into the wall. So this was another factor that kind of like led to their infrastructure falling. Not only did Rome's size make it difficult to govern, but inconsistent and ineffective leadership magnified this.
Oh, yeah.
So you probably know this, but I did not. Being the Roman emperor was apparently a death sentence.
Oh, yeah.
For the most part,
yeah.
very, very dangerous job, and even more so in the 2nd and 3rd centuries. So over a 75-year period, 20 men took the role as emperor,
Shit.
usually after their predecessor was killed.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Heavy as the head.
Exactly. And I didn't know who these people were, but the Praetorian Guard, so the personal bodyguard of the emperor,
Yeah.
at a point were assassinating and installing new emperors at their own will.
Oh.
And then even at one point auctioned off the position to the highest bidder.
You shall be the new Roman Empire. No, thank you very much.
No, thank you, actually.
No, take this off. I appreciate it.
So
but
obviously a lot of...
no gift backs.
Roman givers? No Roman givers. So a lot of like the citizens started to lose faith in the governing body. Even more turmoil from the inside. In the late 4th century, when our favorite barbarian Attila the Hun began his march and invasion spree,
That's right.
he pushed a lot of barbarians to the fringe of the Roman Empire. So to the chagrin of the Romans, and I didn't talk about the Visigoth, but the Romans have had like continuous issues with the Visigoth. The Visigoth are at their doorstep. They let them in, like free solace from the Huns, but then they start to act like assholes. The Romans
Yeah.
start acting really, really cruel.
That don't sound familiar.
Right?
Again.
Start acting cruel to the Visigoths,
Yeah.
even at one point, like taking their kids from them just to give families food. And it would be dog meat. So they would take your kids and give you dog meat to eat.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's awful. So obviously this caused an issue, and it came to a breaking point, and when the Visigoths decided to revolt, they totally decimated the Roman army.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's really intense.
That
And I didn't even go into all of it.
You know what's so interesting is like this is I think another one of those beautiful being obviously a very choice word, but beautiful examples from history of like we've got to overcome these barbaric peoples, and yet
You're the barbarian.
you are the barbaric people
I know,
at
it's
that
terrible.
juncture. Ugh.
And then finally, I know this is the long one.
No, please.
So when I had decided to throw my conspiracy out the window, I hadn't read the entire article.
Yeah.
And then I hit number 7, Christianity and the loss of traditional values.
Oh, listen up.
This is directly
Christians.
from the from history.com. I did plagiarize this, but I'm stating my sources, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that it's not.
The decline of Rome dovetailed with the spread of Christianity, and some have argued that the rise of a new faith helped contribute to the empire's fall. The Edict of Milan legalized Christianity in 313, and it later became the state religion in 380. These decrees ended centuries of persecution, but they may have also eroded the traditional Roman value system. Christianity displaced the polytheistic Roman religion, which viewed the emperor as having a divine status, and also shifted focus away from the glory of the state and onto a sole deity.
It's just
That's what I said.
It is so wild to think about something like that.
That way.
Yeah,
There
like-
was one guy who came out, an 18th century historian, Edward Gibbon. He was the most famous proponent of this theory.
Yeah.
And his work has been criticized ever since.
Really? Oh, that's probably because he's making a lot of
Speaking out
sense.
against Christianity.
Oh,
What?
yeah, like you don't do that. But I just love so much that idea of like, oh, the fields don't seem to be yielding as much. Go and pray to Hephaestus. And someone's like, no, Hephaestus isn't in charge of that anymore. It's like, okay, well, who do I go to? No, there's just one.
Just one guy.
Just one guy.
It's a lot of responsibility.
That's a lot of... Who's fielding his messages? Like, that's it? Yep, that's it. That's just him. Or her. Shut your damn mouth. Or her.
So full circle.
Wow.
My conspiracy came true a little bit.
Wow. Well, of course.
Makes sense.
Of
Especially
course.
since they split the empire into the east and the west.
Right. When they had
One in
the rise of...
Byzantine and one...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although what I love is that whole aspect then of how you've got all the saints then after a while that Catholicism does have all the saints where it's like we had a system already. We had all of these people already. There was someone that was already in charge of all of this. Thank you.
It's like how New Jersey decided to rename all the rest areas.
I think we were driving recently and Nick was like, the Bon Jovi rest area? I was like, it's Cheesequake.
We really needed that.
He's Cheesequake.
That really helped the morale of the state.
Well, listen, if there's one thing we can all gather around, I mean, we all become a drunk Jersey girl when,
Oh, I'm halfway there already.
When John Bon Jovi comes on. Oh, boy. Wow. That was a tight rise and fall. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
I appreciate that.
I wanted to keep it succinct.
So I tried to dive a little bit into Roman mythology, and what's really kind of interesting, I think, is, and I didn't realize it, and I told you at first yesterday when we were chatting, I was like, I started to do my research, realized that I was doing research on Greek mythology, said fuck it, and went to the gym instead because I was so frustrated with myself.
Lots of similarities.
Yes, and it's very widely known that,
The Romans ripped it off.
Yep. So, what I wanted to try and do is, again, find some interesting pieces here to dive into. So this first section that I've just put down is that Saturn ate his babies.
Saturn ate his babies.
Yes. Are you familiar with the story
No.
of Saturn munching on his young?
I don't know. Definitely not.
Okay.
I'm actually doing research on Roman mythology. Realized how unfamiliar I am with.
Oh,
the sect.
wildly.
Yeah.
Like, incredibly unfamiliar. In fact, actually, Nick had said to me, he goes, why Roman? I was like, I don't know. I asked what type. He suggested Roman. I said,
We just went with it.
Sure. I was like, how,
Yeah, I got a boo and a hiss when I said Roman too.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Well, thanks very much for all your loves and supports. Loves. So, according to the myth, which, again, was inspired from the Greek, Terra, who was the goddess of Earth, had told Saturn that one of his children would overthrow him from power, much in the same way he had overthrown his father, Callias, who was the god of the sky.
Oh.
All right? So, proving rational, Saturn decided he would eat all of his children immediately after they were born, rather than, stop having kids, And so instead of...
Sure.
Yeah. just stop having kids.
Makes sense.
Okay. So in the process, he ate Vesta, Ceres, Juno, Pluto, and Neptune.
Wow.
Okay. Just nom 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 nom. nom.
Sack lunch.
Daddy loves you. So his wife, Opus, finally getting with the program, hid their 6th child and their 3rd son, Jupiter, on the island of Crete. Okay? So in exchange, when she went to go and give him what he thought was their next child, or he was to go and take what he thought was his next child, it turned out that it was actually a stone that had been wrapped in blankets, like and swaddling clothes.
It's not fooling anyone.
Well, it fooled him, because what he had done was that in the process of trying to swallow the stone, he wound up vomiting, and he throws up all of his kids that he already ate.
Oh my God.
So I wrote, how sweet. So the reason why I kind of got into this, and I don't know how I stumbled upon this, is from a painting called Saturn Devouring His Son. And I know you.
Okay.
You're going to love this.
Okay.
That is, and I'll show all the people up here.
Whoa.
That is Saturn
Hello.
devouring his son. His son. So most depictions really only show like him getting sick, after swallowing the stone, or they always just make allusions to him swallowing. They never actually show, the ripping and the tearing of the flesh. However, this one did.
Oh yeah, you get it.
Oh, yes. So this was actually painted by someone who came up recently in our art episode.
Oh yeah.
Francisco Goya, the guy who had painted the portrait of the Duke of Wellington.
Oh yeah.
So this was one of his pieces. It was one of what was known as his 14 black paintings, and he had directly painted this onto the wall of his kitchen.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, sometime between 1812 and 1823.
Damn.
So none of these paintings had been commissioned. They were all privately owned, and this is when again he was living at a place called a house just outside Madrid that was called Quinta del Sordo, which means Villa of the Deaf Man. He bought it from someone who was deaf. And he was deaf as well at this point on.
Deaf, not death.
Correct. So the paintings in the home, if anything, were once really kind of bright and inspiring, and then they started to turn really, dark. And
Kind of like it.
I do too. And a lot of people say that this is because of the period of ongoing war. There was the war, it was called the War of the Peninsula. And then there was the Spanish Revolution at the same time, as well as the Spanish Inquisition was still going on in this period.
Brutal. Just brutal.
I had no idea that it was happening
At the same time.
Well,
Yeah, I'm bad with history.
I mean, I'm not terrible, but I didn't think that the Inquisition was still going on into the 19th century.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
No, evidently it was.
Jesus.
And just for reference, that photo, I pointed to it like it's actually fucking up here right now. That portrait, roughly, if I do my math, is it was about 5.5 by 3.5 feet
Okay.
in size. So this is a big,
Yeah, pretty big.
effing piece of imagine waking up every morning and being like,
This is my house. I
time
live
to
here.
make a cup of coffee. Saturn. Good morning, sir.
So, like I said, I don't really know much about the Roman mythology.
Yes.
But Saturn sounds like a Titan
That is
from
correct.
the Greek mythology.
That is correct. Yep. That is exactly it.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like I said, I found that first one and I was like, interesting. Didn't know that was a thing.
I love it.
Yeah.
So,
Ooh, I got a little sip here.
we know, well, you may not, but we know a lot of the main Roman gods.
Sure.
We have Mars,
Yes.
Jupiter,
Pluto.
Pluto, Apollo.
I thought Apollo was Greek.
I thought Hermes was the
You are correct.
right. Yep.
Yep,
Apollo.
sorry.
That's okay. They're all the same. They're literally all the same.
Yeah.
Just slightly modified on the Roman side. But how about some weirdly specific Roman gods?
I'm so glad. Yes.
Okay.
I haven't. I had a big long list, but I didn't go through very many of them to jump out at me because I was like, oh, this is daunting. But
There's quite a few.
Yeah.
Okay, so the ones that I got into are the erotes. That's what they're referred to.
Okay.
So they are like demigods and goddesses, kind of. They're usually as a collective unit, they are either children or servants of Venus.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes,
Huh.
or Aphrodite if you subscribe to that.
We're here on the Roman side of things.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we have Abionis. Abio means to depart in Latin. So naturally, Abionis is the goddess of leaving.
Ooh.
Specifically dealing with, especially associated with children and young adults. It's believed that she is the one who teaches children how to walk when they're young and also then watches over them later on in life when they leave home for the first time.
Oh.
So it's kind
Interesting.
of a cool one.
Do they have like an Irish cousin that teaches you how to do an Irish exit?
I hope so.
I hope so much.
Sidebar. Irish exits are not talked about enough.
Oh,
and totally underutilized.
I think that the Irish exit is such a beautiful. I love when people Irish exit because I respect it so damn.
As long as you don't mind the
much.
FOMO, Irish exit.
Oh, and
You'll thank us
I
later.
don't think people that do it
At that
mind
point,
it.
probably not.
No, at that point I'm kind of bad.
So we have Cardia,
Yeah.
not Cardia Brown,
Okay.
just Cardia.
Yeah.
So Nick, you probably heard of the Roman god Janus, yes?
Sure. Janus.
Janus, the god of doorways and thresholds.
Duh.
We all know.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So Cardia has an even more
What?
specific sect.
Yeah.
Cardia is the goddess of door handles.
Oh, what? Why?
Right. So despite the triviality of her, whatever you want to call it, role, I guess, she's actually really important in ancient Rome time. So she was believed to ward off evil spirits and blood-sucking monsters known as striga.
Oh.
Do you know what striga are?
Well, I mean, I know that strega, at least in Italian, means witch. So
okay.
I would assume that it's probably something close to.
Kind of. So I only know about them because there's a show on many years ago called The Strain. It was on FX.
Yes,
Did you ever see that?
I vaguely remember it. Yeah.
So in The Strain, it was a German-based villain vampire.
Ooh.
We called them the Strigoi.
Ooh.
So I think it's that because the Striga are blood-sucking monsters.
Okay.
So they're almost like a in the show. Oh man, that show was fucked up.
I'm gonna have to see.
It's about vampires flying in, taking over Staten Island, and
No, aren't you thinking of What We Do in the Shadows?
no, that's no great show.
I'm
also.
sorry. They did a show called The Strain that was legitimately a horror
It's an actual horror, not a comedy. It's a straight up.
But still,
horror.
it has vampires taking over Staten
Yeah,
Island.
they come in, they fly into LaGuardia or JFK, and then they start to take over the boroughs. No joke.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
totally
awesome.
gonna. Oh God,
Great show.
Wonderful.
Yeah, you'll like it.
I feel like we should also tread lightly as we're doing this because I just realized that technically, it's we're just kind of just shitting on a whole bunch of gods right now. Where it's ha ha ha, guaranteed you're gonna wind up going to the bathroom later on, and your door handle is just not gonna work, and you're like, damn
Ardia.
Ardia,
Please.
Janus.
I'll melt it down and sacrifice it for you. I don't
There
know.
you go.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so Striga. Yeah, so the Striga were thought to prey specifically on children.
Oh, okay.
So she protected people throughout the night. Then we have Devera, not only thought to be present at birth, protector of laboring mothers and midwives, but she's also the goddess of brooms.
What?
Yeah, but not just any old dusty broom though. Brooms used to clean temples and sacred places.
I still think that's such a juxtaposition. Someone out there was going, "You shall be the goddess of birth and life,
And midwives
and
cleaning
and who could brooms clean that up."
That's Saturn's voice, right?
Yes, there
Yeah.
you go. Saturn. Yeah,
That's what I heard.
yeah.
Or Jupiter, I guess.
Jupiter, because technically,
Saturn's dead.
right? Because eventually he takes over, just as Saturn did
Right.
with his father.
Right. So she was symbolized as a broom and thought to sweep away evil. And this was one of the ways that she protected laboring mothers.
I love that so much.
So funny.
I can imagine her leaning up against a wall, so I used to be someone. Yeah.
Yeah, get out of here, Deborah. Yeah. Oh man.
Oh. Oh.
Then we have Febris.
Yes.
Febris was the Roman goddess that personified fever.
Ooh.
She was both cruel and benevolent, however, as she was thought to bring fever on and cure it.
Oh, see. I like her. I like that. That is the antithesis, or that is the apex of I brought you into this world. I can take you out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, you feeling
Absolutely.
a little hot right now? I bet you'd like some relief from that, wouldn't you?
Yes, please. Yes.
Yeah, I bet so.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
Make an offering or something.
me and my girl Deborah gotta go. Gotta go get down to the temple for a little bit.
So she's
See
kind
your
of weird.
sweaty ass later.
Starve a fever.
What?
Starve a fever.
What does that mean?
That's a saying.
Oh, starve a fever.
Starve.
I thought you said start of a fever. I was like, is it sweaty ass? I was
yeah,
like,
me. No. So Febris is a weird one. I don't know. Februs was a god of purification,
oh,
and apparently Febris, it's thought that she split off from him and became like her own deity.
oh, interesting. Well, the word for like fever in Italian now is febbra. Yeah,
Makes sense. And then just my last one, Melona or Melania, I think Melona,
yeah.
is the goddess of honey and protector of bees.
Ooh,
Easily the most important, I would argue.
Yeah.
Most important of all the gods and goddesses. As we know, bees are very important, incredibly important to the sustainability of the earth for the most part.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm just going to end that right there. Strange that the Romans would be so specific with honey, I thought.
Why?
But then when I did, well, because like a god, they probably didn't know back then. Or maybe they did. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well,
But like honey
yeah.
of all things, But like I didn't know that they used it in medicine,
Yeah.
offered it to gods as like a sacrifice or an offering,
Huh.
mix it with water to make a honey drink,
Ooh.
and would also eat it as food.
Interesting. Huh. I like that one too.
And that was my last one. I didn't go into. There was another, like we had the erotes, and then I forgot what they were called. Something similar, but they weren't as interesting.
There's a really good, if anybody's like curious, obviously, beyond what I don't know why this my big guinea nose. Who's the patron saint of big schnozzes?
Plastic surgery.
Wow, I'm beautiful just the way I am. There's a really good website though. If anybody's ever curious, it's unrv.com, which is the something Roman gods. It's all on.
Is that where you found your stuff?
Yeah, everything ancient Rome humanly possible.
Cool.
It's the United Nations of Roma Victrix.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So it's a really good website in case anybody's like ever curious about anything old and Roman. So the next things, and I guess we can almost say the next thing that I looked into is the Tarpeian Rock. Are you familiar with the Tarpeian Rock?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So the Tarpeian Rock is actually a steep cliff on the side of the Capitoline Hill, off which murderers, traitors, purgers, and what were referred to as larcenious slaves were flung off
You
to
have my
their
attention.
deaths, right? The cliff was some 80 feet high. So I'll show you a quick picture because these things do still exist today, or the remnants of, which, by the way, again, if anybody is ever interested in going around and seeing a lot of the things that we're kind of like talking about and whatnot, literally Rome is still built around all of these places, places and rocks and towers and temples and whatnot.
They're cool looking too.
Oh, they're awesome. So I'll put the picture up for the rest of us. So that's quite literally like what remains of the Tarpeian Rock at this point. We can see a whole bunch of like old Fiats now parked around outside of it. So the Tarpeian Rock. So according to myth, Titus Tatius was the ruler of the Sabines, and he had attacked Rome following what was referred to as the rape of the Sabines in the 8th century BC.
Okay, I did a little reading on that.
Okay. So basically, the ruler like went to go like get back at Rome. So what had happened was that the Vestal Virgin Tarpeia, who was the daughter of the governor of the citadel, had betrayed the city and opened up the gates of the city to Tatius in exchange for what the Sabines had apparently, like, quote unquote, like, worn on their arms. So, like, bracelets and rings and gold, and I said pretty things for a virgin, I guess. Like, she was like, oh, I like that, sure, come on in. Once inside, however, the Sabines had then attacked and killed her, allegedly by crushing her to death with their shields.
Oh my God.
And she was subsequently...
That's awful.
Oh, terrible. Like, it's one thing, I think, to get, like, killed in this time period, but to have been, like, crushed by shields is like a lot. So what they had then done was they buried her then on that rock. So I was like, if you'll note, that's a giant fuck you. It's basically, we're going to kill you. We're going to bury you here. That's like being like, where do you want to meet up? Like, I don't know, Jeffrey Dahmer Mound. Like, what? Why would you name that place Jeffrey Dahmer Mound? I don't know.
Terrible name.
It's a terrible name. It doesn't even work out very well. In about then 500 BC, and I'm sure you probably came across this kind of stuff too. Folks of this time, rulers, the most badass names in the world. So this guy's name, again, about 500 BC, was Lucius Tarquinius Superbus.
Superbus.
Super bus. Yep. Lucius Tarquinius Superbus.
Lucius Superbus.
Yep. He was the king of Rome, and he had leveled a portion of the rock, and in doing so had destroyed, like, the temple and the monuments that had been built by the Sabines, and instead had constructed what became known as the Temple of Jupiter Capitolinus.
Oh, okay. That's in Lebanon, isn't it?
No, this is right in Rome.
Oh,
yep.
And there's a Temple of Jupiter in Lebanon.
Yeah,
too.
I was going to say, I think there are a couple different temples of Jupiter around. So executions then were still actually being carried out there well into, like, the 1st century BC, and apparently had culminated with the execution of someone by the name of Simon, or I'm going to say probably Simon Bar Jorah, and he was the leader of a Judean rebel uprising. Like, there was this spontaneous rise of essentially, I guess, like, Roman Jews, and that were like, we're sick of, I guess, like, living, like this. And he had been killed, and that happened in 71 AD.
Damn.
So in many ways, it was also described as that the sentence of being executed on the Tarpeian Rock was worse than just the sentence of death to begin with, because apparently only really bad people,
Right.
There was, like, a shame that would come along with that. So it was, like, reserved as the worst kind of punishment, because also, and I would have to double check, the validity of this, but this is from at least Wikipedia, in comparison to what was known as the quote unquote, like, standard form of execution in Rome, which was strangulation.
Ooh.
That was apparently, like, the standard.
Ooh.
Right? Like, that, again, seems particularly brutal.
Yeah.
Right?
Why?
I have no idea.
Like,
Throw
why do you
him
want to
off
be
a
that
cliff.
person? Yeah.
Yeah. What do you do for? Oh, your son's a doctor. Mine strangles convicts.
Strangulator.
Oh, the strangulator.
I'm the strangulator.
I would like, and that's how that dick probably, like, left parties. Like, gotta get going, guys. Strangulator. Fuck you.
Strangulator.
Go home, Carius. Strangulatus. Oh, God.
You forgot your mace.
Thanks, guys. Strangulator, we heard you already. Go home.
That's terrible, dude.
That's terrible. But the Tarpeian Rock. Fun stuff, I think.
Man, like, there's so many other more humane ways to dispose of someone.
So apparently one of the things, like, in both cases, strangulation is, like, hard on both people,
Yeah.
I would assume.
Yeah.
And I gotta say that I think like throwing someone off a cliff is still
not
really like close to. What was really interesting, and it kind of goes back to like what you were talking about a bit earlier in terms of like how many people had actively been king and ruler and then like subsequently overthrown, that there was a statement, like something written in Latin. Let me see if I can find it real quick for us here. And that made reference to just that. Oh, so there's a Latin phrase, and pardon me and my Latin. I don't want to offend any native Latin speakers out there.
Yeah, okay.
There was a famous Latin phrase, which was arx Tarpia Capitoli Proxima, which basically meant that the Tarpeian rock is close to the capital, basically warning that anybody's fall from grace can come really swiftly and really fast. Because again, you know, from that photo, that is the heart of Rome.
Yeah,
like
so
it was
weird.
done right. It was done on
It's too
purpose. You know,
Yeah.
nothing like a good old fashioned public execution.
To really bring up the morale.
Yep. Get it, the children. We're gonna go watch somebody get pushed off.
You know what's weird
off of
though
the
is like
cliff.
that's actually what it was, like a morale thing, because that when that person was that bad
Absolutely.
to do that,
Oh,
to have that done to them.
one of these days, I don't know if we'll do an episode, but I would at least like recommend to you. I'm trying to think of the name of the guy that does all of the podcast series, but he does like a really kind of like a dark look into history, and he's got this one. It's Dan something, and it's gonna drive me friggin' insane. But he does an entire like what works out to be like 12 hours
Oh my god.
of public executions, and like looks at the history of public executions, and there's all of this like existing documentation from regular like French citizens that like they knew that there was going to be like a beheading and on such and such day, and people would start to fucking like set up and line up. If you had a like you've got a you know the balcony out here, like people would rent out
Yeah.
their like balconies
crazy,
to be like
right?
you know come and watch you know people get beheaded and be killed.
We've come so far.
It's interesting because that's the argument that he's making the entire time. He's like, those were kind of like, we saw it happened, and it was an event, but you saw the real repercussions. And he was like, is it better or then worse what we're almost seeing like now, which is like an extreme depictions of violence, but they're not actually real. It's a real
Tough. Yeah.
I'll if I can find it, I'll send it over to you. Maybe
Please do.
We'll bring it up. Like you want to talk about a couple like overthoughts you can come up with.
Yeah.
It's really this idea like, oh, so is it worse to see horrific things happen to people that we know aren't actually being hurt, or is it better to see someone actually that is bad be hurt?
Right.
Yeah. It's a weird thing.
It's a weird dynamic.
It is.
Before we go, are you convinced that the fall of Rome is due to the switch from polytheism to Christianity?
I mean, I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, I think that there's a lot.
That could be the linchpin.
I think that there's a lot of because it went from the Roman Empire, and that's when it transitioned into the Holy Roman Empire,
Right.
And then you subsequently had these periods where people were going from you would have an emperor, but then you would also have the Pope, and sometimes you would have the Pope and the emperor were the same person, and sometimes not. Two popes.
That's why it makes sense to me for it to be a conspiracy theory, because like Catholicism brought in like a second, I don't want to call it figurehead, but like kind of.
Oh yeah.
Because they took, like the article said, they took away the power from the emperor essentially, because the emperor wasn't given that divine
divinity anymore. Exactly. But the Pope still then had it. Again, there's a great series that they did on all this stuff. If you're ever interested,
definitely.
Like I love learning. Again, the like who used to pay to be like, you know, my boy would look real good as the new Pope. Be real good and just be like, oh, but it's not his turn yet. Be like, okay, it's not his turn yet. I don't know. Yeah, this is oh God. I would still love to go back to the Roman times.
Sure.
I feel like that would be great. You want to talk about a good time to go back to? All they were doing was just having orgies and buffets, and they had running water. I like the idea of having
that's a
big thing.
Point. Running water is good.
Yeah,
we want that.
It's right on the ocean. You got some seaside.
Depending on where you are in the empire.
Oh, I'd want to make sure that I'm in the heart of it.
Waterfront.
I want to be waterfront Roman Empire.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I like that.
If you're gonna go to the Roman Empire,
right? You only live till maybe 40.
Who cares about life savings?
Who cares? Yeah, be like, what is it? Give me a couple.
Blow it all.
They were called denarius, I think, is what their money was called. Denarium or something like that. Yeah, that's all you need. Just give me a couple of denarii and I'll be on my way.
Waterfront property. Don't gotta fight in the Coliseum.
I would love to just have somebody that would feed me grapes as I lay. I wouldn't know that was a thing, but I knew that it would be happening too. I'd be like, this is great.
That definitely wasn't a thing. That definitely did not happen.
I hope it did. I want it to be. I want it to be very real. I want to live like the heathen bot from Futurama.
The heathen bot.
The one that's always, the bodies, the massacres.
Yeah.
That's who I want to be.
That's his name?
Yeah.
The heathen bot.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, I had no idea.
Yes. Oh, yes.
We talk about that show a lot. We should do a Futurama episode.
Down for it.
You know what? We're going to post. We're going to post on the Instagram and maybe on the Twitter. Put a poll.
Yeah.
We should pick a bunch of cartoons, or we'll pick a bunch of shows.
Yeah.
And we'll do a deep dive and we'll let them pick.
Yeah. Do something.
Call to action.
Call to action.
Calling you for action.
Like, subscribe.
You up?
Comment. Really?
Goodbye.
Goodbye.